2025 has finished. Some are happy with their achievements of the year, others couldn't wait to put last year behind them. How was it for you? In December of 2015, I was 10 years old in fifth grade, and at my table were other 10-year-old fifth graders talking about things that they've done, places they've been to, and all of a sudden the topic was Chuck E. Cheese. Now, I had never been to Chuck E. Cheese, and it was the start of me feeling uncomfortable, left out, and different, but in a bad way. When talking to my peers, that was the first time. It was the beginning of me learning things from other people outside of home, rather than my own parents, my family. No, my parents have not taken me to Chuck E. Cheese. That was not necessarily. The fact that my parents had never taken me to Chuck E. Cheese was not the problem. It was the fact that we as a family never did any of those typical parents with little things activities, or ever went to those parents with little kids events. Missing out on a couple of stuff is cool, of course, but never any aquariums, never any museums, never any movie theaters, never any ice skating, never any real family dates. Even when we have been to two resorts with so much for kids to do, we couldn't do any of the activities other than the pools. It was the fact that they always found reasons to demonize or speak down on so many things, even if they were cheap, even if they were free, and the lack of support only continued. I'm 20 now. My parents have not changed their minds. They have not grown their minds. They still give me the same treatment as they did when I was 12. Having to jump through hoops to get what I should have. Help, free time, documents, making appointments, washing my clothes. Them still stopping me from doing things just because they feel like it's dangerous. Like working out at the gym, running at any of the 3 parks that we have nearby to get my steps in, my laps in, swimming at the local pools during the summer. That is just still has always been a complete no. Them still making plans for me and not telling me until the day of or the day before, that gets me tight. Them still getting mad at the way that I spend my money, what I spend my money on. One of the things I did last year was spend money on stuff for my room. And they got really, really mad at that. My mom got really mad at that. And we still have a hoarder home. That's annoying. This year, I felt bad for my younger self more than ever because it's 10 years. It's not 5, it's not 6, it's not 9. It's 10 years. The fact that I would have to tell myself for the future at 10 years old that the support I would get in the future would come from people outside of my family. The fact that I'm still waiting 10 years later for the first few bucket list things I wanted at that age. I'm still waiting for those things. The fact that I was constantly told to enjoy my years, but the people who were telling me that were stopping me from doing that. The fact that this family never truly grew. It never grew as a family. Yes, time passed by, but relationships were not made. They were not built. Nothing changed. The fact that I never got to experience meeting people, building friendships, hanging out with people from ages 18 to 19, and 20 might be added to that list too. The fact that I've never been out in the snow to play around. The fact that there have been a couple of things that my parents have stopped having problems with, but it's nothing compared to what I need. Because I still have to go through the arguing process for what feels like every single thing. Now at 20, what I tell myself at 10? Of course, when the weeks are approaching, you know that you'll eventually turn the next age. So when it happened, it wasn't a shock to me, but I did feel sad. And a couple of weeks later, it really started to feel bad because I felt just as incompetent as before. I still had no set time, set date, some sort of idea when I could possibly start really living my life, not just sitting around and being controlled by other people, but me being in control of my life. Nothing happening during a year is too familiar for me not to expect the same thing to keep happening. I really, really, really don't want to be able to say that I started certain things at 21, especially the basic things, but by the way things are looking like, what am I really going to do? The first day of my job this October, I don't remember what was said at all. I don't remember what happened at home, but I did write down that I got a surge of instructions that morning. It's nice to feel the transition between teenager to adult in so many aspects, but my mom never stopped treating me like I was 12, 11, 14. I got a complete surge of instructions that morning, and things are never told in a positive way. They're always told with a negative type of tone, and it made my morning really uncomfortable. That's something that has always set the tone for the first few hours of when I leave, the things that my mom says to me, and she has done that. The winter is the worst ever because of all the layering that I'm forced to do and all this type of stuff because of the cold, but that was not fun. I'd like to add, after almost 2 months of filming this video, that the Monday after break, I think it was January 2nd, no, it had to be January 5th, I was still getting questions about everything. My mom giving me a list about do this, do this, do this, do this, do this, questioning my clothes. She had me waiting for my brother, which she had already done. She was still doing that. Me having to fight for the time that I want to, extremely annoying. I should not have to fight for that. You would think it's a new year, it's a new month, it's about to be a new semester, she's not gonna be like that, but no. I've also delayed this video so much because I lost the phone plug-in piece of my external microphone, so I'll be using my phone's microphone for the next 6 months to give it time to appear. If I find it cool, if I don't, that's enough time for me to buy a new one and be sure that it's nowhere here. I've been looking everywhere for a week and it's nowhere to be found. The fact that I'm still in their bubble, I hesitated on taking this job because it would mean that I would be working with a family friend that my parents see, 1 to 2 times a month. And that's often enough for them to make her keep an eye on me, keep tabs on me, asking her questions. She would also tell them stuff, not in a bad way, but just it would come up in conversation. The fact that this job is 20 minutes walking from home, 4 stops in the train away from home, and they forced me to take the train, no walking allowed. They know the location extremely well. They know exactly where it is, and they're familiar with it, and all these things keep me in their bubble. It keeps me just tight knit. Nothing, I'm not outside of anything. It's practically in our neighborhood. Within a couple of days of starting, when it comes to finances, this is one of the toughest topics that the second half of last year created. Within a couple of days of starting my first job, my mom said I was going to have to pay $600 for rent and food. Even though it didn't sound 100% serious, it was definitely more than 90% serious. My parents are inconsistent and disorganized, and there's no real way to calculate food. And I really hope that next year, this year, when the rent is recalculated for the year, they let me see those numbers, because right now it sounds like they won't, and that they're just going to randomly and quote unquote logically give me a number with no reason behind it. My dad telling me he's going to spread my first paycheck. No, my mom telling me, actually, like, you're gonna put money into here and into here and into here and into here. My dad making plans with my money. It is absolutely disgusting seeing how they pick and choose when I'm considered an adult, when I'm considered to be included in things. You see that, right? And I really don't think that I should be paying rent until maybe the middle of next year. I'm still going to do it, of course, but I really don't think I deserve this, because ever since I was 14, they have stopped me from working every single summer. Every single summer, obviously until I'm 17 because I was a minor. But still, that summer I turned 18, it was obviously too late to do SYEP anyways, because that already passed or it's finishing up, and it's point is, I was 18 after the applications anyway. But even then, in 2024 and 2025, when I was 18 and 19, still, they just prefer to go out of the country almost every year, and that's something I'm going to get into later on, because that's something I'm going to have to worry about from this year and moving forward. Back to things that are still happening in general. They still use my age as a weapon. This has been happening for ages, but lately it's had way more of a threatening tone. When I don't do something as expected, or do something that they don't like, or they see that I don't know how to do something, they mention my age and say things like, why can't you do this? And a bunch of other words that have to do with shaming me. But they themselves create the situation where they force themselves to be so in my business that I don't get to experience doing a lot of basic things. And I don't get to experience repetition. That when it comes to doing certain things, I'm going to take a couple of minutes to a couple of days to adjust to it, which is no big deal, by the way. You see, they pick and choose when they want to use my age as an argument to be controlling, and when they want to use my age as an argument of me being an adult. I still don't have autonomy. I made a video about this earlier last year, and there was one where I talked about not being able to be an individual, and things are still the exact same. My parents hate to waste money, or at least they hate to feel like they're wasting money. So my dad's car is used as much as they can get it to be used, specifically when it comes to Brooklyn and Queens, because to any other part, my dad is most likely not driving to. On top of that, my mom makes things include the whole family, particularly when she knows that my dad is going to be off work. So all of our appointments are tied together, and so are other things, and that's where the lack of autonomy takes place. That's the biggest part. That's the biggest way. I hate that she forces me to wait until she needs something, or she's gonna go to a specific store, or my dad is gonna be off, or my dad is gonna have a specific appointment for me to finally go and buy the shampoo that I need, the body lotion that I need. I wanna be able to buy what I want, to get the medical attention, to see a specific thing in a specific place when I know I need to, and not have to depend on someone else's hands, someone else's needs. And once I'm out the house with my family, which is pretty much every time we go out, and once I'm out the house with my family, which is pretty much every time because we go out together a lot, I cannot come home by myself. I'm stuck with them until we all come back together. And don't I dare ask to come home alone, so that's fun. They won't stop projecting on me. Another thing I can't explain with words and how much it bothers me is the fact that my mom assumes my feelings, my thoughts, my limits are the same as hers. She cannot separate them and understand that just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean I feel that same way. Telling me I'm gonna be uncomfortable while waiting for the train, telling me I'm gonna feel cold in the weather and forcing me to wear extra layers, telling me I'm gonna be in pain after walking up the stairs in the train station every day. Just because you have a certain limit doesn't mean I have that same limit. Just because this is too much for you doesn't mean it's too much for me. Every time I try to explain that, no matter how simple, it's taken as me being disrespectful and talking back in a disrespectful way, and I just have to shut up. And we've talked about mom ego and parent ego on here, and that's exactly what she uses. She's my mom. She knows best. And because of that, she always shuts down the conversation of me trying to tell her that I don't feel and think the same way she does. Like 2, 3 weeks ago, she asked me if I was tired. I said no. And then immediately after, she said, you must be because this. There's a lot of times that I get asked about my feelings. I answer honestly, and she just disagrees with that. As if, like, you can disagree with somebody's feelings. And now, it being a new year, me being 21 this year, I want to plan for something completely different because I do have goals for May, like May-ish, then July-ish, then end of the year, maybe between October and November. Some money stuff, apartment hunting, maybe even shopping. Do you say that or just like moving in? I don't know. I do want to apply to SYEP. This is the first year, yo. It doesn't matter what they say. I'm applying whether they have a trip coming up or not. I'm applying. We've always done trips together, and that's another thing. Planning for alternatives for trips because they hate me being alone. But they also don't want to accept that I don't want to do what they want to do. So having to figure out how I'm going to protest that independence, launching my adulthood when it comes to separating myself from them in different ways, like insurance. I might have to get my own, depending on what it is. But yeah, the biggest part is the fact that they do want to go to Honduras this year, and my mom buys tickets February, January, so that's already something that I quickly have to start making some list or something. I do want to work in the summer. They do not want me to do that again for them. but I gotta plan for this year. But yeah, I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of this life. I'm so tired of this life. Knowing that the last time I was feeling this was when I was in school. Oh, and one of the things I realized this year is that trying to protest independence makes no sense if I can't be consistent. You can't be forcing people to accept your boundaries and then you don't enforce them another time. So yeah, it's been 10 years from being 10 in 2015 to being 20 in 2025. Stuff is still the same. Even though I'm technically in a different phase of life, there are so many things that make me still be mentally 12, mentally 15, mentally 17. I'm nowhere near mentally 20. I hate that, but let's just see where this year goes. Obviously, I've been wanting things to be different year after year after year ever since I was 16, but I actually think that this year there might be a bigger difference just because of the new income streams coming in and because of me applying to work in the summer, and this is the first year that I'm starting off with a job. So let's see how 2026 goes, and there will be a part 2 talking about my 2026 plans and how I plan to navigate this type of household that is controlling. See ya.